Hello everybody. So this thumbnail could summarize the entire video. Tesla has a very, very bright future. The Tesla story just gets better and better by the day. We are entering the era of the Robotaxi, the rolling out of a Robotaxi, the change of transportation as a service, Tesla becoming a transportation as a service company. That's the main theme for today, for this year for Tesla. And of course, down the road you can see Optimus in the background, and we know it was revealed during the Q4 call that Optimus production will begin at the end of 2026. So Tesla's prime time for Robotaxi is now, and Tesla's start of the robot revolution, if Elon Musk is to be believed, is at the end of 2026. Could get a delay, but who knows. But of course, this may not be what you see outside of modern media, like YouTube, X. I have no doubt you'll get a lot of good stuff. But Wall Street, you're not going to get a lot of good stuff. Wall Street absolutely hates it. I looked at the early deadlines. So this is the Yahoo Finance aggregator for the headlines. Wall Street type media, Wall Street style media is frankly a joke. AFP, what does it report? Tesla profits tumble, lower EV sales, AI spending surge. And of course for TradFi, spending in the future is really bad. Is Tesla still the king of US EVs? It's still the king, but for how much longer? Right? How much longer? Revenues fall short. Right? Yahoo. For how long are you still the king? The revenues fall short. Washington Post. Tesla has bet big on Elon Musk, but the politics continue to haunt Tesla's bet on Elon Musk. That's the Washington Post. Then Investor Business Daily, talking about CapEx, same as spending surge. So I can already see the headlines tomorrow. Tomorrow they're going to focus on CapEx. They're going to focus on how bad CapEx is going to be, how investors are uncertain because this company keeps reinvesting into itself. Wall Street would prefer buybacks, right? Anyways, CapEx bad. That's some of the narrative I expect tomorrow. Of course, I expect tomorrow headlines like this: why Model X and Model S failed epically. Why? What Model X and Model S's failure say about Tesla? Model X and S failed. Is it spelling trouble for Tesla? Tesla sales are in trouble. These are all of the headlines that I expect tomorrow. And all of this to tell you that I wouldn't be surprised if the stock were to be down tomorrow. And in fact, you can see the market was pretty positive up until the call started and Elon started talking about CapEx. The moment Elon said CapEx, the stock literally took a dump. Because the market only cares about now, it doesn't care about the future, unfortunately. Yet Tesla is an N of one company, to quote Tom Lee. It's a company very much like Palantir. Wherever should I say? Palantir is very much like a Tesla. It's a unique company. It's a company which right now is mostly driven by narrative. Like Apple in the early days, like Amazon in the early days. It's a company that is very, very tough to be valued with any sort of metric, including my own metric, where my own metric would tell me run away from Tesla. Don't even touch Tesla. But of course, my metric is only for cheap hypergrowth stocks. EV over GP over RG. It's only for one bucket. One bucket that I have is cheap hypergrowth stock. Another bucket that I have is the best in the industry, regardless of price. Tesla corresponds to that. Tesla is the best in the industry, regardless of the price. It's an N of one. It's a trophy stock. It's a cult stock. And it's a stock where if they execute just a tiny portion of the narrative that they outlined in the call, if they execute just a tiny portion of the narrative, it's a stock that is undervalued. You would have to really think they're not going to execute anything for this stock not to be worth what it's worth right now. So let's go and talk about the narrative, which that narrative will please the long-term holders. The discussion will please the long-term holder. So I know I'm not known for Tesla. I don't cover Tesla much on this channel, but I consider S and X gone. At the end of a quarter, they said they would stop it. I consider this a very good thing. I've said this before. Why did we keep S and X? I mean, we're not selling that many compared to Model 3 and Model Y. It's a very good thing that S and X is gone. Imagine all the attention that is taken by promoting S and X. All of this attention is better spent elsewhere, and it's going to be spent on Optimus. The attention is going to be spent on Optimus. The manufacturing sites, Fremont mostly, right, going to be spent on Optimus. S and X are going to be gone at the end of the quarter. This is why they never refreshed them anyways. We don't know if it's the end of a quarter or this in the next few months, right? It makes sense. Tesla is a technology company. Tesla is an iPhone on wheels. iPhone, you have the regular size iPhone, and then you have a big iPhone, right? Or the Max. Well, I don't know if they call it Max, whatever. You have a small iPhone, big iPhone. Cars, the same thing. Small car, Model 3. Big car, Model Y. This is all you need. So we're moving to a 3-model lineup because, of course, the truck is for construction workers. So the Cybertruck, the 3, and the Y. TradFi will not get this. I expect some traditional headlines. But if you understand that the best product overwhelmingly wins everything, right? That's why everybody uses Spotify. That's why everybody uses Gmail. That's why everybody uses Netflix. There's these companies that win everything. And billionaires and the poor alike will buy Model 3s and Model Ys because it will be the best game in town. That's just the way it works. One product for all sorts of customers. This is where Tesla is headed, Model 3 and Model Y. Just put all of your energy in making the one car the best car. And of course, if you know anything about Tesla, you know Model 3 and Model Y, the drivetrain is the same, right? The platform under it is the same. It's the same manufacturing line. Fascinating stuff, if you ask me. So that's the big news. I would say this one is going to be in the headlines. Big news. S and X gone. Good. It's a good idea. Another big news, of course, is unsupervised FSD is now running 500 taxis between Austin and San Francisco. Unsupervised FSD is here. Robotaxis are here. There was a question from an analyst. And they asked, so why don't you have unsupervised FSD for actual Tesla vehicle owners? And the reason for that has been said multiple times. Musk said, this will not happen until maximum safety is assured. In other words, they could potentially have unsupervised FSD in Austin, but for now, it's just Austin. Owners will have to wait until max safety is assured for unsupervised FSD to be rolled out all over the US. It will happen. We just have to be patient. And of course, I am very happy that they are taking their time because at this early, if there were to be an accident, if there were to be a death of some kind this early, it will be a catastrophe for the stock. So this is a very good thing to focus on safety and only safety. Safety max first. All right, moving on to other important stuff in the call, new stuff, and of course, it's not meant to be comprehensive. This video focuses on what I find to be the big highlights of the call. So, solar tiles are coming, and of course, Tesla is working on its solar roof. It looks like they're gonna ramp that. It looks like they're going to create that within the next 2 years. Tesla is focusing on building its own solar value chain, with potentially 100 gigawatt of solar tiles. Imagine how much that would be if Tesla produced 100 gigawatt of solar tiles. Like to give you an idea, like a stock that's heavily discussed right now, Iron, Iris Energy. So in the GPU space, Iron, very hot stock right now. It only has 2.9 gigawatt of capacity. Tesla is talking about a value chain that could produce 100 gigawatts. So, think about that. More than 30 times that, 3.3 times that. So that would be insane. Clearly, Elon is looking at Tesla as the company to stand up to the Chinese. Tesla is kind of like the conglomerate of the United States to stand against ruthless Chinese companies who are so good at what they do. And he also mentioned that for Optimus. Tesla is going to work on Optimus. Gen 3 will be revealed soon, probably at a shoulder event, and the production is slated to start in the end of 2026. Again, Optimus will probably be the only product in the West, manufactured in the West, who can actually stand against the Chinese robots. Also, in the call, people were asked if China would be the competition, if China would be a big competition to Optimus. Elon Musk said yes, but there's one thing he didn't say that I think he should have said, which is, I don't think Chinese robots are going to be allowed in the West, or at least in the US and the closest allies of the US. I don't think you're going to have Chinese robots in there. Just like in the US, we don't have BYD. We don't have Chinese cars because there's back loops to these. These are IT connected machines, right? In the event of a national security event, you wouldn't want all of the BYD robots or the BYD cars to stop malfunctioning or do even worse things through a back-end access by the CCP. And so I think for national security, I think Tesla will have a blue ocean in a rich market like the United States, because it will be fairly easy to convince the regulator that really the Chinese robots should not be here. I mean, so many brands are not in the US, Xiaomi, Huawei, you name it, they're not in the US on national security grounds. I don't think a lot of the Chinese robots will make it to the US. This is also the reason why I think at some point Tesla may get into drones. And, a lot of people are talking about the Roadster, and Musk has talked many times about the Roadster being able to fly, or at least for a few seconds. He said it could fly for a few seconds. To me, maybe the Roadster is the start of a new generation of vehicles, perhaps drone-type vehicles. And that's also something that the conglomerate of the West, Tesla, standalone against the Chinese, may have to develop. A drone. I think a lot of people are expecting that, and I'm expecting that too at some point. I'm expecting Elon to kind of like merge the ideas of SpaceX within Tesla and create some sort of a drone or anything like that. So anyways, he talked about CapEx. This is what you're going to keep hearing in the news tomorrow. CapEx, crazy CapEx, and the end of a Model X, the end of the Model X and the Model S. That's likely the negative headlines you'll see tomorrow. He's discussed about 6 factories to be built in 2026. From the Optimus production line to the Semis line to the Gigapacks line that they're about to open. 20 billion in CapEx. 6 factories. So that's going to be a big deal. I bet you they're going to complain about this tomorrow. So be ready for the stock to do anything tomorrow. Anyways, another nugget that I didn't know about. He said Cybertruck will be a Robotaxi too. And Cybertruck will be able to move supply from, for example, the hardware store to your job site, or from a job site to another job site. So the Cybertruck might be a Robotaxi too. Also, analysts keep asking this question. I don't know why, but they keep asking this question, like, are you going to make the Cybertruck look like a normal truck at some point? Elon said the Cybertruck is the best-selling truck in its category, but if it were to not be the best-selling truck in its category, they can change the look of the car on the manufacturing line, and they could have a conventional look on the Cybertruck. So cosmetics, not an issue. Perhaps a cheaper version of a Cybertruck will be released today, like one that's like specifically for job sites, for example, although Elon has always claimed that the Cybertruck was ideal for job sites. As he says, nothing's more tough than bulletproof steel. But anyways, I think it's interesting to note that it might be a Robotaxi. So you could imagine Robotaxi delivery from the Home Depot done with Cybertrucks. And you put a bunch of drywall in the bed of the truck and it's delivered automatically. Imagine how much energy, how much time saved by contractors. That would be a big deal if you ask me. Then that would make it a no-brainer for a contractor to own a Cybertruck. Because you could send the Cybertruck go pick up on its own, and all of these Home Depot sites, they all have pickup and delivery. So anyways, moving on. Tesla. You mentioned that this is going to spook shareholders. I'm talking about CapEx. I bet you will talk about this with CapEx. He said Tesla must enter the AI chips business and not rely on China. That's as verbatim as he said. So, and it means that the probability of a decoupling of the West from China is not zero, right? It's not zero probability. And so if there were to be some geopolitical conflict that would lead to the AI chips in China not making their way to the US, and specifically the Taiwan chips, right? Because it's Taiwan who makes essentially all the chips. So if they were to not make it to the US, if TSMC were to not develop the Phoenix site in time, then Tesla needs to have a backup, and that means making its own chips and make its own fabs. He spent a lot of time talking about this on the call. My guess is that TradFi, Wall Street, is going to hate this because, of course, this is in excess of $20 billion to build something like this, and this takes a long, long time. And then lastly, this was a surprise to a lot of people. Surprise to me, certainly, but the shareholders voted for it. That's true at the annual meeting. It was Tesla investing in XAI, and they invested, was it $2 billion, about 1%. They started investing in XAI. My guess is they'll invest more. And Elon explained why they invest in XAI. He said the products, whether it's the Robotaxi fleet or an Optimus fleet, is useless without a brain. He mentioned the robots will be useless without a brain. And guess what? A car with no pedals and no steering wheels will also be useless without a brain. Therefore, it is strategic that Tesla owns the AI brain, or part of the AI brain, or secures a partnership with that AI brain, beyond simply the fact that the leaders are the same for both companies. And then they invested in Grok to secure that partnership. Makes quite a bit of sense to me. I don't mind it. Makes quite a bit of sense to me, and as a shareholder, I'm certainly happy that they invested in there. That's fine by me. And it's a small amount. It's a relatively very much a small amount. And that's it. That pretty much concludes the call. I mean, there were a few things about money and fundraising, how they're going to be able to fundraise to do all these CapEx. Frankly, a lot of people discuss the CapEx. That's why I expect a lot of FUD to come from the CapEx. They discussed getting loans against the cash flows coming from the recurring revenue business, the Robotaxi business, getting a loan to finance perhaps the gigafab, right? And keep in mind, on the balance sheet, they have about 40 billion. So if let's say if they're planning 40 billion of investment in 27, that means that really the amount of cash they have right now would only pay for 18 months of their capex. So at some point they will need to do some financing. They will need to do a little something for the capex. But of course, we don't know. Maybe the price goes parabolic and they do a follow-on share offering. They do another share offering. That could be another way to get capital into the business. But anyways, I thought this was an outstanding call. So optimistic about the future. I thought Elon was extremely optimistic about the future. Loved it very much. It was a typical Tesla call. Wall Street hates it. Visionary investors, in my view, love it. So anyways, hopefully you liked it. This was not investment advice. This is not financial advice. This is only entertainment. I hope you were entertained. Please like, please subscribe, follow me on Patreon, follow me on X. Thank you for watching, and have a wonderful, wonderful day.